everybody to the latest launch from FCA. Oh, sorry, not FCA, Stellantis as they're called. This is the facelifted Jeep Compass, and they have made some minor updates. They've stuck to the proven formula and made some changes which were problems in the previous ones, and they've made it a much more complete product. Let's see how this car is. The exteriors of the car were nothing to go wrong with. Hence, Jeep has not messed around with it. They have made minor changes because they had to, since it is a facelift. So there are minor changes. You can see there are minor changes in the headlights. There's minor change in the grille that now accommodates a front camera, and there are minor changes around the bumper. That's about it. Not many changes, and Jeep has played a very wise game by not altering the front end of the car too much. There was nothing to go wrong with it, and they didn't have to mess it. I mean, why fix if it broke? Profile the car, again, Jeep has not messed around with it. It had a very nice silhouette, and I particularly love this, square arches. Not many car makers can pull off square arches, but Jeep has done it beautifully. They have painted the cladding this time for body color, and they've put dual tone options with the compass, with the facelift option. There are also new diamond cut 18-inch alloys, and that's about it. That's really all the changes in the side. Not much, but again, subtle changes to show that they have made a difference. The rear of the compass has even lesser changes. Very nominal, and obviously they have changed the cladding. So cladding was black in the pre-facelift, now it's body colored. So it's just a same color theme in the back. One change, however, is the S badge. So this is the top of the line diesel automatic 4x4 is the S. Earlier they had other names or variants. So this is the top of the line, and that's really it. Not many changes in the back. Again, they didn't have to change it because it was such a good looking car in the beginning. 438 litre boot. You'll have to access the tailgate from the switch here. Press once and it's electrically operated, which is really nice, which is new to the facelift. You get access to the 438 litre boot space. You have a parcel tray which is removable, and if you look behind, you get access to the space saver. So this is apparently a full size spare, but it is limited to 120 kilometers per hour. Just like a donut tire. What also is new with the facelift is the addition of the mechanism to close the boot. So you can close the boot electrically, which is again a really useful feature. Again, very thoughtful addition by Jeep to the Compass. The interior, as you can see, of the facelift of Jeep Compass is where Jeep has really upped the game. The exterior, they didn't have to tinker with much, but what they did had to do with the interior, because the pre-facelift had, even though the build quality was pretty good, the design was a lot to desire. But the interior of the facelifted one, they have taken it all the way to 11. Honestly, this is probably the best facelift I've ever seen by any manufacturer. They have literally taken the game level to a next tangent. It's just so nice. The build quality was already there. Now with the new looks, you've got a very nice 10-inch screen that basically controls everything. You've got wireless charging, wireless Android Auto, wireless Apple CarPlay, everything. You've got maps. You can basically just play around with the all the features of the car. It's just, honestly, even the touch response is so good that you can just play around with it. It's just really impressive by Jeep, and the resolution is just top notch. You have the new steering wheel, which finally does not have blank switches. The previous Compass, even the top end Trailhawk, had blank switches, which I'm personally not a fan of. But luckily this does not have blank switches. They just have blank switches on the side, which is fine, because comparatively only two compared to the whole steering wheel. The previous one had only 2 functions and the rest were blanks, which looked really bad. So this again is a very welcome move. When you hold the steering wheel, you notice that there are buttons behind the steering wheel. On the right side, it's for adjusting the track. On the left side, it's for adjusting the volume. Very peculiar. I mean, this could be included somewhere on the steering wheel itself. So this is a very peculiar position for something like adjusting the volume and the songs. The dashboard, the center console again is completely all new. It's very, very nice. You've got a huge usage of piano black all over. Again, this will require some maintenance because it is very dust proof and scratch proof. So you would have to spend extra time to keep it clean, but again, I think it will be worth it because it looks so nice. You've got dual zone AC, you've got ventilated seats for driver and passenger as well, and you've got leather all around the dashboard. I mean, I love the usage of leather, this chrome aluminium looking bit in the dashboard, and piano black. These are the main three elements you would find all over the dashboard, and these are the three dominating things, and I think it's a great choice by Jeep to incorporate it, and they've done a really good job. I mean, it looks really premium. In fact, it looks more premium than its segment suggests. I love this theme. Overall, again, I'm a big fan of the interior, and I personally did not like the interior of the pre-facelift one, but they have really changed the game with the facelifted one. Again, a fabulous job by Jeep by transforming the interior of the car. Now this car actually feels worth the price. The seats in the Jeep Compass are all leather. Again, a very thoughtful addition by Jeep. It's perforated leather, so you can see the perforations. There is also Jeep written on the seats to make sure they remind you what car you're driving. And the seats themselves, a little hard, but they hold you really well. They've got lumbar support for driver and passenger, and both the driver and passenger seats are electrically controlled, which again is a really cool addition by Jeep. Cars higher up in the segment as well don't have both powered seats, so if this has both powered seats, it's a great addition by Jeep. I think the interior is really dark. There's one thing that Jeep has up its sleeve. It's got a very huge panoramic sunroof which extends all the way to the back. Again, very useful addition by Jeep. It's a two-stage blind. Once you open it, you get an access to a very, very big panoramic sunroof. Very useful addition by Jeep. Getting to the rear of the Compass is a bit of a workout. It's a little high. It will take some effort for the elderly to get into the car. Once they do get into the car, however, it's all good news. Once they get in, they'll instantly notice that the backrest is really, really nice. It's a little too reclined, but it's really comfortable. Under thigh support is superb. Even for a person of my height and my build, I have excellent under thigh support, and the backrest is really, really nice. However, there's a big curvature for the middle passenger, and it shows that the middle passenger isn't really welcome here. Even with 3 people, it will be really tight. So 2 people here will be at the most comfort. You do also have an armrest where you can pull out. You have 2 cup holders, and you have AC vents in the back, and you have a USB charger as well. Again, 3 people will be really tight here. 2 people are best in the Jeep Compass. You have pockets as well to put your stuff. 2 people, you will be really comfortable, and obviously you have the big panoramic sunroof to let you the sunlight in as well. Windows are a little on the tad on the smaller side, but again, the panoramic sunroof compensates for that. Again, very nice place to be, and I really like the rear seats. It's one of the better rear seats I've been in this, compact crossover segment. Again, I really like it, and good job by Jeep as well. You do have useful bottle holders as well. You can actually accommodate full-size bottles. Again, very nice addition by Jeep. These little things go a long way in the ownership experience. So the Compass also gets a full virtual cockpit. So as you can see, all the dials are completely digital, and you can scroll through the options and get a lot of settings. For example, you can see the vehicle info. So this is the speedometer. This is the vehicle info, so you can get coolant temperature, transmission temperature, oil temperature, battery voltage. You can see how much fuel economy you're getting, what's the range, what's the tire pressure. So this car also has a tire pressure monitoring system. And just basically you can see how much AdBlue is left, since this is a BS6 vehicle. So this does have the AdBlue, so you can see that as well. Basically, and then you can see your trip A, trip B. You can see what mode the car is in. So right now it's an auto 4x4, so the car does the thinking. Fun fact, that's not a Compass in the picture, that's an old Cherokee. I don't know why they put this. Maybe they didn't think anybody would notice, but that's pretty obvious. That's an old Cherokee, not a Compass. And then you can see what music you're listening to. Even if it's on Android Auto, it shows you the track, which is pretty cool. Not many virtual cockpits do that. And you can see your messages and vehicle settings. That's pretty cool if you ask me. It looks pretty cool at night as well. And also you can change it to miles per hour if you wanted to. Not very useful for Indian roads, but again, pretty cool. You can change it from miles per hour to kilometers per hour as well. I suggest you keep it to kilometers per hour, because you won't be able to explain the cops why you were doing above the speed limit. Now I'm behind the wheel of the facelifted Compass. So this car has a 2-liter multijet that produces about 170 odd bhp, and it's mated to a 9-speed torque converter, but more on that later. So once you do slot it into drive, let go of the brake, and you notice that it doesn't take off quite as sprightly as, say, other cars that have the same motor. And I would probably put it down to the gearbox, because the It's always hunting for the right gears. On the lower speeds you won't notice it, but once you're actually picking up speed and you want to take a rapid overtake, then you'll instantly notice that the car is thinking a little too much. It takes its own while to understand the situation, and then it drops a gear or two. I wish it was a bit more responsive that way, because I've driven the Safari and I've driven the Harrier that have the same engine, but they are mated to much simpler 6-speed units, and I feel like they don't do the hunting. It's like they are always in the right gear when you need it the most. Once you do get through the gearbox lag, you'll notice that the engine is indeed very powerful and it pulls really well. You can feel the surge in the torque, and it's actually really satisfying. I mean, you would not expect it, but it's really satisfying. The engine is gruffy, you can hear it loud, but it makes up for the torque, and it feels, it gives a very weird sense of satisfaction that this engine can do something, even though it's probably not the most refined around in the market, but it's pretty good. I mean, I'm a big fan of the Fiat engines, be it the 1.3 or the 1.6 or the 2 liter. So it's a really fine engine, and I mean, it's really nice to drive. And then complement that with the chassis this car has, it does really well. You can push this sort of SUV vehicle around corners, and you'd be pleasantly surprised by how well planted the car is through corners. You can push it and it'll do well. It does have the all-wheel drive, so you know that you have the mechanical grip that you need while pushing the car on its limit. It's actually really satisfying. Steering feel is really nice. It's a tad too heavy perhaps on slower speeds, but see, I went to a bump. You can see the suspension is really stiff, but again, this is for probably the trade-off is the good handling. The steering feel, as I was saying, is pretty heavy, especially on slower speeds. You would definitely feel that it's really heavy. But once speed built up, it's actually really nice, and you would really enjoy using this steering for maneuvering, especially if you have to do rapid lane changes and all. You would really enjoy it. It's actually, I mean, I've always heard the Compass is a fun to drive car. I've now finally experienced it, and I can definitely say the same. It's a really fun SUV to drive, because it has the ground clearance to clear literally every obstacle you probably face ever when you own this car. It has the 4-wheel drive system to take you out. It has the 4-low, 4H. It's got hill descent control. A lot of gadgetry this car has, and it's actually, again, a pretty complete package, which brings me to the price, which is 34 lakhs on road. Now, this car has a lot of kit, but it is pricey, no doubt. And I think if the price is maybe a few lakhs cheaper, maybe capped it at maybe 30 lakhs on road for this S variant 4x4 automatic, this car would have sold by the bucket loads. 34 lakhs on road brings it precariously close to other cars in the segment which are bigger and might not work in favor for the Compass. Again, if you really want something that's really fun to drive, I don't think you can look further than this. Honestly, it's a really nice package overall.
The Jeep Compass then. It's a great car. I mean, it handles very beautifully. It rides so amazingly, and it looks so good. The new interiors just look the part, and they look so premium. I mean, kudos to Jeep for improving the interiors by leaps and bounds. Honestly, it's the best improvement I've ever seen in any car. Yes, it's very expensive, and yes, the gearbox is very dumb-witted. I mean, I really wish it had lesser ratios so that the ECU would have to think less to be in the right gear. It's really hunting most of the times for the right gear, and that can get really annoying. For regular cruising, you won't realize it. But when you really want to overtake, you put your foot down, the gearbox is very confused. Again, it's a very fine package, and if you can overlook the gearbox, I think it's a fantastic package, and I didn't think I would like it so much. I'm actually in love with the Jeep Compass, and I think if you do have 34 or 35 lakhs to spare for a compact SUV which drives so well, the Jeep Compass is the one to go for.